sports sector and also assume that umbrella role that it is supposed to assume over all other sporting associations, including the Ghana Football Association. Yaw Ampofo Ankrah, the decorated, internationally acclaimed sports journalist, now turned sports administrator, is my guest for this very special conversation. We're glad to have all of you who are joining us via our stream on YouTube from all over the world, and we sure are going to have quite an extensive conversation. Yaw, congratulations to you, my brother.
Merci
Congratulations.
and thanks as well to you for your support.
Anytime. Anytime. And we were glad to have you at the National Sports Dialogue. That was a very quick one, considering the fact that around a time like that, you're inundated with a lot of pressure and all of that. And we're glad to see you there.
Yeah, congratulations. That was a very timely and comprehensive program. I think these are the kind of programs we should be having in addition to our regular news updates and local, continental and global news. It was, I think, 2 days into my appointment, so I just thought it would be nice and prudent to pass by, support my boss and also contribute a little bit as I did. So I need to congratulate you as well for that initiative, and hopefully it doesn't end there. We should have more of that. I learned a lot, actually. I did.
Great stuff there. Yeah, let's delve into a bit of your journalism career, which is what has given you that global view of how sports should be structured in every jurisdiction. You started quite a while ago. There are days when I meet, national service personnel in the stairway and the hallway, and they gesture like that.
Right.
They used to watch me when they were like that.
I get that all the time.
And you're asking yourself, oh my goodness,
yes.
it's still a good time to probably retire.
I get that all the time.
But you've had longevity. You have continued, even being senior, you continued to do a lot of on-ground work, actual, coverage, hard coverage, and all of that.
Yeah.
Let's just get back. Was journalism always the option for you from day one?
Yeah, Nat, honestly, my passion was sports, but I couldn't be a boxer. I wasn't, crazy enough. I wasn't good enough to be a professional footballer or any other sport. I just had this overwhelming passion for sports. And I think that passion translated into speaking about it, getting involved in it, and should I say it wasn't luck, but I was blessed. I am blessed to be always in spaces and times that sports is evolving and I get the opportunity to contribute or be part of it. So it wasn't planned, but with time, obviously you realize that this is a direction in which you're going. So it's better to be strategic, and BBC was not planned, Super Sports was not planned, Multimedia, Joy was not. I think it was Choice FM that I walked in, previously Sunshine Radio. So along all those paths, I realized that, okay, it looks like the universe is opening up for me. So let me meander and find my way through. And that is what I've done and gotten to this point, which is quite remarkable. But yes, you're right. From day one, it's been a passion which has driven me. That has been the combustion. Anytime I see sports, I need to travel and be part of it. I need to be at where, the fans, the pulse, the energy, smell, victory, defeat, the tears. It's just something that I couldn't run away from. So I think sports journalism called me, and I embraced that, and here we are today. I mean, it's a long story. It's been a long journey, and I don't think I'll be able to.
And there is a record you may have set. I'm trying to look across from your generation of journalists. I mean, your mates from journalism, education and all of that, who found themselves practicing. I'm not sure any of them have recorded the kind of the broad feel and the broad stint base that you have with media houses in Ghana and across the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done multimedia, you've done Metro, you've done TV3, you've done, Max TV was just recent.
Right.
And, I mean, when you look back sometimes, would you have stayed anywhere probably a little longer?
Yeah, this is a question I keep getting asked, and the answer is yes or no. today I can look back and say, okay, so it was preparation.
Mm.
But then it was like, okay, I'm bored. I need a new experience. Let me move on. And I kept on doing that. Fortunately for me, excuse me, I can go back to any of these media houses and his family. You know, that is very important to me. Multimedia, I mean, you know, I come there, I have friends there, and people that I met there, you know, Doreen Handel, my big sister. Amazing lady.
Amazing lady.
You know,
yeah.
Samuel Attoh Mensah is at a different place now, but these are the people that helped shape my career, and I think I moved on everywhere just at the right time in order to get the experience that I have now, the experiences that I have now. BBC, the same, Super Sports, you know. So now I look back and I'm like, okay, so it was perhaps for this and maybe next challenges that I had to go through all of this in order to prepare me. But it was a bit frustrating at times when, you know, oh yeah, I'm coming to you at multimedia and I'm not here, I'm at TV3 or, you know, but great experiences throughout, no regrets, lots of lessons, lots of friends, and it continues. And the passion, as I keep saying, has kept me in the game.
What has that taught you about life? And this conversation is also very inspirational for young, you know, people who want to get themselves into sports administration and those who are following the path within sports journalism to strike a certain level of excellence. What lesson have you learned about? I mean, because you've spoken about the fact that you can go back to any other media house at any time because you probably left well.
Yeah.
What is the lesson that you want to transfer to the younger generation who are listening and watching from all over the world?
Yeah, I mean, give 100%, give your all. It's not about money, you know, because you and I know when we started, even though you keep, you know, I think, Naj, you were just behind us, but you've also earned your way. You've, you know, the writer, radio, TV, personality, business, you've worked your way through it. There are no shortcuts. I keep saying this. You can't jump. You need to go through the processes. And yeah, at times it would be frustrating because you keep getting asked, okay, a question that I keep getting asked when I travel is that, so sports journalists, they are rich, eh? Especially our Nigerian colleagues, our South African, because they see a personality like Nathaniel Attoh. You guys are making money. You guys are rich. But Nat, you and I know that it's not about the money.
Yeah.
You may earn more in one night emceeing a show by somebody who picks up the call, you know, in the United States. And that, is that Mr. Nat Attoh?
Yeah.
I want you to MC my wedding or my daughter's wedding. And they could offer you something that might be more than...
Takes care of your 6-month salary or 1 year, probably.
So I think wherever you find yourself, just be aware that people are watching, they are listening, and we're not perfect, no doubt about it, but you should just be real with the work and don't kill the passion. Because you see, Nat, if you kill the passion...
I'm very glad about that note that you've landed on about not killing the passion. And that's one thing, interestingly, it looks like this is, you know, telepathy, because I was going to go to that. The bit about where the fuel comes from to keep going like that. And I'd like to remind all of you that this is a one-on-one conversation with a newly appointed Director General of the National Sports Authority, who by law are in charge of the technical and promotional element of sport. Now, the National Sports Authority Act establishes the National Sports Authority as the sole agency of the government and under the ministry, which is now the Ministry for Sports and Recreation, to oversee everything and every association which is mandated to promote and develop sport. Now, this first leg of the conversation obviously is going into his life, the life that we all know, and we're also going to delve into what we did not see. I mean, the moments where he would drop the camera, move away from the studio, and not travel to a destination and probably go into some boardroom somewhere and do a presentation that had nothing to do with sport. We'll be coming to all of that, and that's the reason why you have to stay with us here on this very special conversation and this special edition with Yaw Ampofo Ankrah. Yaw, fuel and passion to continue going. You've spoken about branding, personal branding, and how it's important to keep the consistency, because in our space there's a very big potential and a very high propensity for people to disrespect you, obviously because people think they have information, you are looking for information, so it has to be a top-down approach.
Right, right.
How have you sailed through all of this and kept your head above all of that? And was there any moment where you probably lost it and said, listen, I'm walking away from here, I'm not doing this anymore because I will not stand for this and watch this happen?
Yeah, that happens, and 24 hours later, you're like, no, I'm going back. You know, it's a marriage. You know probably as much, and I'm glad you're asking, because this is exactly what it is. It can be a battle, you know, because it's like, okay, so you're a journalist, you're a broadcaster, you're a media person. When you travel to an AFCON or World Cup tournaments, you see your colleagues, especially our colleagues from, I keep saying, Southern Africa, the North Africa. I think they are more resourced and respected, because, and they demand it. It would take a long time to get to the level of Nat Attoh, but you have to work at it. It wasn't overnight. I don't want to use myself as an example. I'm just bouncing this. Yeah. And you have to keep on trying, keep knocking at doors. There'll be no, until you get to a stage where you realize that, okay, you force the door open. Now you need to go in and have conversations. People might not be convinced, but your works gradually will take time for them to see that, okay, this is real. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation about something that has nothing to do with sports. I like what you're doing with sports. Can you bring it into this domain? And that has been what has been happening a lot of the times, where people who just, oh, I like what you do on TV, I want you to come and do this with my school or with my projects. I want you to, you know, figure it out. And that's actually where most of the time we get a lot of our packages. It wasn't until 2014, the World Cup in Brazil, that I got my biggest contract with SuperSport. You know, I didn't go with GFA, I didn't go with the Black Stars or with Ministry.
You went with Yaw Ampofo Ankrah.
Yes. So SuperSport approached me a month to the tournament and said, we want you to be embedded. We've already spoken to your FA. We're going to do all the paperwork, but we need somebody with inside knowledge. And I looked at the contract and I'm like, hold on, is this it? Yes. So that was my biggest contract ever, you know, for 2-3 weeks work. So they put value on what I'd been doing all these years. And I'm like, okay, it's good I didn't quit. The World Cup obviously was controversial for other reasons, but for me, personally, it was my biggest payday, and it had nothing to do with the Black Stars or GFA or the Ministry. This was a private person, a private organization coming in and saying that we want you to do this work.
Did we, on the very light side of things, did we have a drink after the Ghana-Germany game, after all of the...
I think we did, but it wasn't coconut water.
It wasn't coconut water.
You know, but there were a lot of things said, written, but looking back, you have to just laugh, because I think people wanted, they wanted news. Yeah. And you just happened to be there, collateral damage, headlines, and it worked at the time. But I enjoyed that World Cup because most of the time I was away from the team when they were not in action, and we traveled the length and breadth of Brazil, and we had great fun.
You hit a very important point. So let's get into the details, shall we? Look, at a certain point in your career, your elder brother was the sports minister, and here you were, a senior sports journalist who has a big voice, has big bite. And so if it's wrong, you'd have to say it the way it is. If it goes right as well, you bask in the glory and say it the way it was. Yeah. How did you, I mean, and this is from a very personal perspective, because this conversation is also, you know, so we could reach you, reach your heart and reach what sometimes people do not see.
Right.
How did you manage all of that? Like you said, I mean, there was a lot flying around at the time. eventually your brother was a main subject of a whole, commission's
Right.
sitting and all of that. How
Right.
did you navigate through all of that? And,
I
how
mean,
challenging was it?
looking back now, obviously it was or is a blessing in disguise, because at the time it was chaotic. It was terrible. I mean, and I'm thinking, hold on, this didn't happen. I mean, what they're writing, what they're saying, but it also brought to fore that when people's emotions are involved, and you're talking about millions of people, when their emotions are so attached to something, and in this case, the Black Stars, when things go wrong, they need to find an escape. You know, we didn't qualify to the next stage. We have to find reasons. And how easy is it to point at someone who was driving something that was at a point so good? Ghana could have easily qualified from that group. I think one of the best performances in the World Cup was Ghana against Germany. We drew 2-2 in that game. But there were so many things around it that, unfortunately, a lot of them, I would come back to the hotel and I would hear it from our colleagues, Ibrahim Sani Dara and other colleagues, that this is what has transpired. One story which is very interesting is the popular Jama leader, Joseph Langabell.
Yeah.
So I went for an assignment with my super sport crew, came back, and Langabell was like, Chale, Yaw, there's a big bombshell. You know, the players don't want to train, and you better call your brother. He was very animated, you know how he is. So I called the minister, I put it on speaker. So Langabell came to my room, which was on the next floor. Langabell was here, I was here, and we put it on speaker, and he rattled in gun, told the minister, you better get here because, there's chaos. And my brother was like, oh, really? I don't think so. I don't think they will refuse to play. Anyway, to cut the long story short, he left Natal and then joined us in, is it Fortaleza?
Fortaleza.
He came through, and he also came to meet the situation where players were agitated, they felt certain promises had not been fulfilled, and he told them the truth. Look, what I've told you is the truth. It will come, but I cannot conjure the money.
Yeah.
I cannot, it will come. It hasn't come, so calm down. When it comes, you get it. So that was the basic reality. The minister did not lie to them. He didn't make promises out of nothing. It's just that things got out of hand. He was the minister in charge, and I found myself in the crossfire because players would come up to me and say, Charlie, talk to your brother. Or, they were being real, but I couldn't quite tell them that, hold on, this is not about the minister. This is about us understanding that we have an assignment. Guys, go out there, play, win. Everything will be added, but they didn't see it like that. And they had a right to because of previous experiences, not necessarily with that administration led by Kwesi Nyantakyi. So things escalated, got out of hand, and we all heard about the money coming in, and before we realized, this turned into a big bombshell, and unfortunately the minister had to take the bullets, which I think he did. He didn't run away from it. He didn't blame others. He stood there and he had to take it, and he took it very well. And I'm sure at the right time, when his book comes out, there'll be certain revelations in there. I think I need to leave that to him to tell his story rather than for me to tell what happened. But for me, it was a very difficult time, for him and for me and the family. But thankfully, we moved on. We've learned our lessons, and I think we've learned very, very useful lessons which would help us in the future.
We're still here having this conversation with Yaw Ampofo Ankrah, the Director General of the National Sports Authority, looking back on his career, some of the high points, some of the not so high points, and everything that has shaped the journey up till this point. So you found yourself in that situation, frustrating it was, and then time flew by, you moved on, and you found yourself in various jurisdictions practicing. You've spoken about media out there, media here in Ghana. what else do we need critically at this time in sports media in Ghana? When you look at the way others have set up and all of that, what else do we need to add in terms of placing ourselves globally and competing globally here?
Yeah. You know, we've seen in sports, in football in particular, we've had ex-players move into the next level and then even going beyond what they achieved as players. Just a quick one, Pep Guardiola is one example. I think he won everything as a player, but he had to prepare himself for the next level, and he was able to, and is still in the game, albeit having challenges now, to do that. And I see in sports journalists, not just in Ghana, but globally, but okay, let's focus here, where we used to observe, report, critique, analyze, and all the rest of it, I see an evolution where a lot of us are beginning to move away from that and say, okay, you know what, we've been doing that, so let's move in. I know you're a consultant on Acquired. You do a lot of things outside of sports, which is great, and a lot of us similarly. But I see a time whereby, because of our experiences as sports journalists, we can move up and get involved higher and bigger than and deeper than we ever have, and have real impact, so that it's not about, well, journalists, they only talk, they only criticize, but at the next level, the administrative side, creating new possibilities, industries, just getting involved, getting our hands dirty, learning from that experience, and then from that experience, we can share it and be able to bring something new onto the table. And I see a lot of that happening. The current FA president is from our stock, Keto Kreku. Regardless of what you think about him or his successes or failures, he came from the grassroots of journalism.
The CEO of Gokubod is from our stock as well.
Randy Abbey and Ibrahim Sani at CAF.
Yeah.
So these are just a few examples.
The immediate past chairman of Galka.
Thank you very much. Koju Fianu
is from our stock as well.
There's a long list. These are the ones that I can remember. So, and a lot of them have gone into the legal space, you know, a lawyer Monday, Sami Bartels,
the telecoms lawyer.
Yep, Mavis Akoto,
Eva
Otri. The list goes on and on. And so we can look at this.
Willie Alassani, you know.
Good. So
So
why don't we come back and contribute? And this is what's happening. We've been given that platform, so we can't disappoint. We can't fail. It's a very big responsibility that we need to grab, but also be mindful that what we do today, what we do now, could affect those who are coming through. If we're able to make it, it will open a whole new new doors and windows for those who want to get involved in this space.
Let's talk about that and the bigger expectation because of your background and what you identify with before coming in here. Now they say, okay, here you go, and in local parlance or in our Ghanaian parlance,
do make we see.
Do make we see.
Yeah.
Okay. Nowadays, when you lay your head on the pillow, do you feel any form of pressure weighing on your shoulders, especially because of how the Sports Authority has been positioned within the bigger mix of you know, government, the ministry, and all of that?
I love pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, by nature, I'm low key, but my job would not allow me to be low key. By nature, I'm introvert, but my job would not allow me to be introvert. So I balance it, and away from this, I'll go home, relax, do my own things, be in a corner, be very quiet. But I love pressure because that is what, in the past, that's what's brought the best, you know, out of me. Sometimes I look under pressure, but it's good because that adrenaline, that drive, that focus to be on your feet has to be there. I don't think much has changed. It's the same as maybe I would go to MC a program and I'm either very comfortable or I'm not. I've prepared well or I've not. I'm going to do a show on TV where I feel very conversant in the area. this is a new school altogether. So the learning process, no matter how prepared you are, you cannot be prepared for the NSA job. It's the reality, and I think the list of predecessors would tell us that. But that is also an opportunity to tap into that and deliver. That pressure should help me to deliver. And I have two very able lieutenants, you know, young lady Veronica Comey and young man Gideon Hammond coming in there. You can see the energy, the fire, the vibrancy. So I'm confident that we will do it in a different way, but according to the dictates of His Excellency the President and the manifesto and the reset. All of the things that we must do must be according to what we've been assigned, but in our own style, which makes it, you know, very unique in itself.
So it's been confirmed that Parliament has, you know, approved, you know, a budget of, you know, a little above 60 million Ghana cedis, which is a little past 4.2 million US dollars. And that is for the whole sports and recreation ministry. So immediately, in terms of what will come from government, which is your main source of resourcing, we're back to square one.
So I look at it this way. What can you do where you are with nothing? And what can you do where you are with something? And what can you do where you are with a lot? So assuming that we're put in a position where there is nothing. So myself, Gideon Hammond, Veronica Comey, the other managers, management, the sports minister, allied sports institutions and you know, youth employment, all the related, you know, wings would have to find a way to make things happen. Thankfully, we've been given something. And what do they say? To whom much is given,
Much is expected.
much is expected. So here's a case where much has not been given, but more is expected. So we're not under any illusion as to the task ahead. And I think that is where the challenge is positive, because we need to think outside the box. We need to be innovative in the way we try to bring in funding, resources, expertise, technicalities. And we did it, I would say so, with the first game, the first challenge, Ghana Black Stars against Chad. Short space of time, all of us knew, but we were able to put things together. It went by, and now we need to move to the next level. I think it's a very good challenge, and regardless of how long I am here, my, you know, deputies, the team, I think we're going to make a mark. It's very exciting. These times are I'm very excited to be here at this time. And what I can assure is that we'll give 200%. We can't give 100% because it might not be enough. We need to double our efforts, and that's exactly what we intend to do.
Infrastructure is the main subject. Year in, year out, infrastructure comes up. The conversation about infrastructure and keeping them the way they should be kept so that we're conforming to international standards and all of that. We're sitting here at the Accra Stadium. This place organized the game, eventually certified by FIFA to host the game. But there's a bigger task of ensuring that all our other stadia across the country are fit for purpose. And then will come the other headache of devoting resources to making sure that they are always in shape. Because 6 or 7 months from now, if anybody goes to discover anything wrong, your picture will be the first on social media or in traditional media.
Yeah, so even before that, there are a lot of things that we need to take care of. Just this afternoon, I was with my deputies going through documents, and you know, we all were quite alarmed by what we saw, but not panicking. We need to deal with it. If the president has entrusted us to do this, it means he has trust and confidence in us, and we must think of ways to address the situation and find solutions. That's the beauty of it. We can't fail. We don't have 6 or 7 months. We have now,
Yesterday.
today. Yes, exactly. So the problems we met, infrastructure, you know, administrative, logistics, whatever it is, Nat, we've got to deal with them one by one, and that's what we've started doing. And I'm confident that we'll be able to not only deliver, but gain more confidence so that we get what we need to deliver. It's tough, it's difficult. The president did say in his State of the Nation address that we need to tighten our belts. All sectors, everyone is doing that. That includes sports. As challenging as it is, we need to find ways to make an impact and to be successful and to deliver without the excuse of there's no money, we're cash strapped. So corporate Ghana, this is where we need to also open up, bring corporate Ghana in and find out what they also want. We need to listen to them, and they can tell us that, you know why we're not getting involved in football or sports? Because of 1, 2, 3, this and that. If you can change it or help us come on to help you change it, we're game. And that's where we need to look at, Nat.
Let's talk about structure. Now, this is the National Sports Authority, which is supposed to be the umbrella body for all other sporting associations, including the Ghana Football Association. Over the years, the Ghana FA, by the nature of its demands and its operations, has developed this direct link with the sports ministry, where they deal directly with the sports ministry. Now, your boss, the minister, has stated categorically that we have to revert to the proper structure as has been stipulated by the law, where the Sports Authority is the umbrella body, just like we have SIGA, or the State Interest Governance Agency, which oversees all bodies that are that are owned by the state. Now you'd have to oversee the work of the Ghana Football Association. The minister says that it's a matter of engagement, and he's going to go about it in a very civil and calm manner. How do you see all of this work out and play out?
Yep. That's the core of the issues that we're dealing with. Thankfully, we have a sports and recreation minister who understands the complexities of where we find ourselves. He's not an out-and-out sports administrator, but he has learned quickly. When you have a conversation with him, he actually understands what has gone wrong, where we are, and what we need to do. And perhaps in the past, the conversations were not had at that level, where you sit down, Mr. Minister, this is what we need to do, but because of these bottlenecks, we can't do it. Okay, so what do you need? Not, okay, but let's continue. That is the refreshing thing about the Sports and Recreation Minister, his openness and willingness to come in with ideas. So where we are, not just the law, not just the, what the Constitution would say, or the Act, Sports Act, or whatever it is, the willingness of the parties to actually work together is key. Because if you have a situation where we're just next door, but we don't have that vibe, there will be a problem. There are some neighbors who do not see eye to eye. They drive past each other, they don't greet. The minister walks from his office here just to check up, is everything okay? How are the floodlights? Constant engagement. And for the minister to have a way of succeeding where he's supposed to, he would have to entrust a lot of that responsibility where it is, but has not been in the past because of these differences that I explained. Sometimes I think it's also about personality clashes and politics of sports and power play and ego. I've not seen that, and I'm very grateful and thankful that the minister has already put in place measures to ensure that we are able to do what we can. He showed that before the match, allowing us to, take initiatives and just giving his blessing. Go ahead, phone call, this is what we need to do. go ahead. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. Call this person, you'll be there, and somebody comes through. The minister said you have a challenge. I can help. That is it. That is practical. You can live that into the Sports Act, you know, legislation, all the rest of it. If you don't have that rapport, that communication, you can write all the theses and what you're supposed to do, but it will come to naught. So for me, that interaction, that personal relationship is very key in delivering on what has been assigned us.
Let's delve a bit into putting together some of these big competitions, including the recent qualifier that we had here at the Accra Sports Stadium. And if you're just joining us, this is a one-on-one conversation with Yaw Ampofo Ankrah, the Director General of the National Sports Authority. Now, you closed the main stand, the Usu stand, which we refer to as the
Popular stand?
The popular
Yeah.
stand. At a certain point, we realized that the fans just came in, and and the reason that was given was that there were issues of integrity, which obviously places it as a red zone or a no-go zone. But the fans, found themselves there. How are you addressing that particular incident, considering that, you did a lot in terms of breaking your back? I saw some of the measures you put in place, especially entry into the stands and some of the certification processes, checking of tickets, security, and how things were arranged. So how are you dealing with that particular?
It was a real baptism of fire, and I think I watched 10 minutes of the entire 90-minute game when we realized that there had been breaches. I think two reasons could, account for this. One was the oversubscription or over-interest by the fans. Before the match started, we realized that we have a lot of, this is quite an unusual number, but mind you, we've printed X number of tickets. So we've got to be careful in order to ensure that only those who are supposed to be in the stands are in the stands. And again, minus 8 stands from gates 31 to 42. When the information came through that the fans are still massing up, the stadium is almost full, instructions were given that, close the gates, they cannot come in, any further. But because they had entered and were not willing to go back, they were ready to risk coming and buying tickets, which was not available anyway. So you have a lot of people, you have a lot of passion, energy, and you have to deal with it very, very carefully. So what was taken, the decision that was taken, was to manage this crowd, ensure that it doesn't get out of control. But somehow, scores of them managed to break through various points. And the choice, obviously, was to try and stop them. But in the melee, there could be a stampede. So they were managed, and those who were able to get through found their way at the popular stand. Yes, they were ushered in, some rushed in, but in a situation like this, you have to use tact. And a lot of tact, a lot of communication went into ensuring that a bad situation did not get worse or out of hand. And thankfully, there were no casualties, no fatalities. A few minor injuries occurred, and we managed to control them until the end of the game. Valuable lessons in terms of the ring around the stadium. Next time, it has to be more tight. It has to be a ring of steel, so that without a ticket, you can't even get through the first ring. You need to at least show that you have a seat in the stadium. We need to make changes. Number the seats, e-ticketing, where the system crashes, you need to have a backup plan. You can't have the system crashing and a few minutes to kick off and you don't know what to do. So we need to review all of this, and hopefully by the time the next game is on, we would have settled on the best mode forward. I await the results or the reports rather, from the various security agencies to ascertain exactly what went wrong and how we can ensure that it doesn't happen again.
Very well. You you have a role that requires that you do a lot in terms of collaboration with other agencies. You just mentioned the security agencies, and His Excellency the President recently inducted, he's inducted the new IGP, Mr. Christian Tete Yuhuno, and then obviously the Chief of Defense Staff, the Controller General of Immigration, and the like. Obviously, because of the unfortunate incident that happened in Swatreman, the then IGP, or the immediate past IGP, Dr. Ekufo Dampari, has set up a special policing unit for football, for that
right.
matter,
Spectate
for
sports, right.
and for sports. Have you had any interactions with them yet? What's the level of collaboration so far?
Great. You know, we've had extensive discussions. First of all, we had a review immediately after the game with all the heads of the various security agencies. The training for the said football policing would commence in the next few days. Just this morning, I was in touch with the security officer at the Ghana Football Association, as well as the security officer in charge of the game with CAF and FIFA, liaising with the FA, Mr. Ansa. And the good news is that these new training measures would consider what happened in this game, so that preventive measures are brought in place, and even managers should be part of that training to see exactly what goes in and how crowds can be managed, preventive, measures, and all the solutions that we need beforehand. So I'm very encouraged that this is happening, and once the training commences and ends, we should have a new unit of well-equipped men and women who can deal with these very specialized cases. And then we have the stewards, who also need upgrade and training to ensure that they can handle their set of tasks during matches as well. So all in all, and the media, we need to also upgrade, our information, and also engage the media to put that information out there for the masses to understand exactly what we're doing, so that we have cooperation in the work that we're doing.
A lot of stuff has gone on. I know you're doing a lot in these early stages. What's the plan for, doing a full audit of our infrastructure, and what the direction will be? Because that is something that the public is really looking forward to, to know and to note, to see what the vision is, what the plan is, so that we know that issues of, or that whole cliched line of maintenance is a problem here in Ghana is put there in the background for good.
You're right. Architectural engineering is something that is a specialized field, and thankfully we have an agency like the AESL who we can rely on, and then also bring in competent engineers who have the know-how. Interestingly, I can reveal this, that before the match we had Chumbuafu and partners coming in to look at the facility. We invited them, and they did a little bit of a survey. We had a drone going out to take specific shots which would help them map out what they need to do. That was unofficial. We needed that information before the match. Now that we're done, we need to do another review and audit the structures that need to be immediately addressed urgently, in terms of either upgrade, complete change, or modifications. That will be left with the experts, and I'm sure once we have those reports and recommendations, we won't waste time in doing that. We can't move ahead without the experts telling us, this is what you need to do, these are the options, and this is, of course, how much it would cost, where do we get the funding from, how long do we have to do that, and how quickly can it be ready before, way before the next game. So the processes are in row, and I'm confident that we'll have it done in no time at all.
Well, so we've done a bit on infrastructure. We're going to come back to the administrative work here at the National Sports Authority. But let's take some time and look at the Black Stars game that was played. I mean, you had just come in, you just started work, and then there was this immediate assignment, beckoning. or this immediate assignment confronting all of us. A new captain in Jordan Ayew had been appointed, and we hadn't won or gotten 3 points in as many as 7 games. So there was a lot. I mean, from where you sat, as you tried to immerse yourself in all the pressure of organizing an incident-free game and a perfect, event, you were also at the back of your mind, because of your background, also thinking about the result. How did it go for you?
You know, the 5-0 scoreline perhaps was not unexpected, but I think it was all about the energy, the way it happened before match day. And when we had His Excellency the President walking across here.
Yeah, and I had a few people actually call me to say it was a big deal in the sense that, look, the Black Stars were not leaving Ghana to go and participate in the AFCON.
Right.
They were not going to play in the World Cup final or the AFCON final. This was a qualifying game.
Against Chad,
Against Chad,
right.
Who are not supposed to be big opposition. And so the president, fitting that into his already tight schedule of these first few months in office was a big statement and a big deal.
It was, and the players needed that. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of question marks. So the president's view is that let the past, this is a new beginning. And as I said earlier, the reset is a state of mind, and then it becomes, you can applicate or you can apply it. And the players are not left out. You can't have a reset without the Black Stars. And the players are citizens, they're Ghanaians, including the coach. So the criticism, you and I, of Coach Otto, of the players in the past, yes, valid, but what next? Guys, that was in the past. This is a new president, a new administration, a new era. I'm with you. I support you. Whatever it is, put it aside. Let's move on and be the Black Stars that we know. And that is why the minister was here constantly conveying the message to the presidency. Mr. President, I think it would be good for you to be here. And of course, the president was here. It was you witnessed what happened. Asamoah Gyan, Stephen Appiah, others on the match day. We had the legends, Anthony Barfo. And the president told them that, look, I'm not concerned about the past. Sometimes you need to fail in order to learn valuable lessons. The players responded. The captain, on behalf of the players, said, we're not going to let you down, Mr. President. This means a lot to us. And they kept saying something that we do not take your visit lightly. We are not taking it for granted. And that goes back to what you said. It's not as if we're about to go to the World Cup or the AFCON. This was a training session to prepare for Chad. And the president felt that as a new beginning, as a commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, as your leader, the papa, the first man of the land, guys, go out there and kill it. And he did. He said, go Black Stars, go. And that was it. And the players fed into that, and they delivered. Not only that, they went outside to do it again, even more spectacularly. So the reset is in motion, but it has to be constantly put out there. We shouldn't take it for granted. We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that we can change it. It's not lip service, but we need to work hard at it. The players worked hard for it, the coach, and I think in a way it has removed a huge cloud hanging over the Black Stars. The GFA still have a lot of work to do. There are conversations that must be had with regards to management style, policies and direction. That's a different conversation. But per what I've seen in the last few days, there's a change. I can speak to it. Body language, attitude, there's a change, which is positive. And if this can continue, a second chance for the FA to redeem themselves beckons. It doesn't mean, however, that things will be business as usual. What it means is that we're all going to support the drive, the reset by the president. Whatever we do to make sure the Black Stars qualify for the World Cup, we must do it. It's collective. It is not about Keto Kreku or the EXCO or the management or individuals. It's a collective effort, and you need to commend, you know, Dr. Randy Abbey leading the charge, Moses Alma Parker, he has a lot of experience, and all the other members on that board, Stephen Appiah, they've done a great job, and they have to continue rising to the occasion. So a big thank you to the president, to the minister, and all those involved in making sure that he reached out and the players responded. Long may it continue.
Long may it continue indeed. And immediately it continued in Morocco. You know, it was expected that at least Madagascar will create some problems for us.
A bigger challenge.
For the Black Stars, considering the fact that, you know, in recent times we've had some challenges with countries that traditionally are not highly rated.
Absolutely, and the manner in which the players went about it showed that they had the grit, and we have the men, as it were, and the captaincy issue seems to have dissipated, you know, into the background, and the players that in the past we criticized for not showing up, showed up. They showed leadership, and there was leadership across the pitch, which we've not seen in recent times. It's positive. I think, all in all, a lot of players can now look themselves in the mirror and say, okay, I can do better. The coach can now say that, yes, I can do better, and this is the standard. Let's keep, you know, pushing to the next level. And I believe that there should be even more to come. There are challenges ahead. Comoros is playing very good, very, you know, good football. They're very, it's a tight unit. They're well organized. Mali is a very good team, one of the top teams in Africa. We're yet to play all those teams. Central African Republic, they gave us a rough game. We beat them narrowly, 4-3. So it's not over, but with the attitude and the reset mindset, I think we can overcome and qualify. But we've not qualified yet, no.
Leadership in the Black Stars, it's something that has come up, you know, year in, year out, regime in, regime out. What kinds of suggestions would you give to the technical team and its heads regarding the way to handle issues of who leads the pack? Because whether you like it or not, it is an item, it is an issue. So going forward for you, from where you sit and all the experience you've garnered around the world and following especially the Black Stars team, what would you want to suggest be done or is done for ensuring that as much as possible there's a certain standardized way or an SOP, standard operating procedure, for handing over, saying thank you symbolically to those who have served, so that we don't have any, you know, negative omen around the team because somebody is bearing a lot of ill feelings towards the team because of these little incidents.
Yeah, I think it's a conversation that we don't often have. People shy away from. In the past, and you're very close to Stephen Tornado Appiah, and he would tell you that he had to make a lot of personal sacrifices for the team. And he accepted that because that comes with the office of the captain. When you're Black Stars captain, you should expect that you will be a target not only of the opponents you're going to face. You can't please everybody. But I think the selfless nature, character and attitude of Stephen Appiah was exemplary when he was captain. Others have come in with their own style. It may have worked, it may not. They've had relatively less success. But that is where Stephen Appiah coming in, Asamoah Gyan, the most recent Black Stars captains who've tasted the World Cup, their experience. So they can tell Jordan, this is what, Jordan is not the outgoing, or should I say, exuberant, you know, extrovert, but he's intense. One word from Jordan could be more than a speech by another captain. And if you look at his eye contact, when Jordan walks onto the pitch, he doesn't smile. And that is infectious. The players know that, hey, captain means business. When you're in the dressing room, you can feel that energy. So you need to give power to the players, the captain, the players who feed off it. There is a limit to where management, coaches, or a coach can go. There's a barrier. No matter how good a coach you are, you cannot scale it. No matter how good a coach you are, you can't enter that room, that space. It's reserved for now Jordan Ayew, Stephen Appiah, Asamoah Gyan, Andre Dede Ayew, Abedi Ayew Pele, CK Akono, Sami Kufuor, Tony Balfour, all these, John Mensah. They've been in that inner room. So in order to get to a place where you and I are not qualified, with all due respect, Coach Otto Addo, having played for the Black Stars, doesn't qualify to be in that captain's room. You've brought these guys in, let them do the job. And that could mean that Stephen, Asamoah, talk to the players in your inner sanctum. And that would work, rather than showing authority over them and allowing them to be. And we've seen that in the recent matches where the players have been given that room and they've embraced it, and they've been allowed to exhibit their power and skills. So we need to look at this and continue. And I think other players watching would also see this positivity and come on board to contribute, to help. I saw Sam Johnson, I saw a few other players, Augustin Ahim, for all these other ex-players who are now, or even before, getting closer to support the Black Stars.
Yeah, and Yaw, talk about Jordan Ayew. You've raised a very important point about him and what you've noticed about him and his new leadership. So he's recorded 2 out of 2 as captain of the Black Stars. So talk about that. We will now get into a bit of a conversation and then come back to Yaw, the National Sports Authority, and other sporting disciplines. Let's now go to this conversation that Daniel Cranting of Joy Sports had with Jordan Ayew as captain of the Black Stars. He raised some very, very important points. He talked about his leadership, about his journey, and all of that. And so we'll take a listen to that and go into various aspects of that conversation. And after that, we resume with Yaw Ampofo Ankrah for more, especially on the other disciplines and getting them into this very big mix of sports development.
Jordan, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure. First of all, congratulations on the captaincy.
Thank you.
What does it mean? What does it mean for you?
Honestly, like, obviously it's a big responsibility. It's an honor to obviously captain the national team, the Black Star national team. To be honest with you guys, I'm not someone who thinks about like captain or some leadership role, but I'm just someone who just wants to just enjoy his football and enjoying playing football and winning games and scoring goals and making people happy, because football is all about that, to make people happy, and football is a powerful game. But obviously, this captainship thing, there was a lot of talks and I was always quiet in my corner, always quiet as usual. No, I don't focalize on all those things, and it just happened naturally, I think. And I'm honored, I'm proud, but as well, it demands a lot of work and a lot of responsibilities. But I've been with the best, so I've learned from the best, whether it's Samoa, whether it's Andre. I've learned from them, and I'll try and pick up things from their qualities, and obviously for me, to be myself, because when I'm myself, I'm at my best. When I'm not myself, then I become a bit, let's say, unproductive. So, I'll just take it calmly and, stay positive.
You talk about the natural flow. You were in your corner, it just came to you. Your dad, the legendary Abedi Pele, was captain. Your elder brother, Andre, was also captain. Now you are captain. What is it about the Ayews and leadership? What do you think it is? Born leaders?
Well, honestly, like, there's a lot of things that happen that me personally, I don't even think about. This captainship thing, I'm someone who believe in destiny, you know, and I think it's just something that was written in the stars, maybe, possibly, you know, but, you know, it's something, we're just passionate, we're just a passionate family. We just want to do our best, let the people enjoy our game, you know, and that's it. But at the end of the day, things happen. It's only God knows, and we take it in good faith, and you know, we keep on doing our job.
Any advice from Andre that this?
Yeah, you know, Andre, me and Andre are very close. It's my big brother, and you know, obviously, you know, he congratulated me and gave me some advice, and someone as well gave me some advice. So, okay, you know, I'm open to everything, and you know, I'm not someone who is ignorant, or you know, I'm someone who's just calm. And you know, since I've been in the national team, since I was 19, I'm still the same today at 33. So, oh, keep on taking advices and things, and it have made me grown and grown and grown, and to become who I am today. So I'm going to keep on doing that, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, the past few years have been quite difficult for the Black Stars. Back-to-back AFCON exit at the group stages. Now a failure to qualify for the AFCON. You've been around for a long time. You've witnessed the highs. 2014 World Cup, you were there. 2015 AFCON final, 2017 semi-final. What do you think has changed, and what do you think, per your assessment, what do you think has gone wrong that has caused this sort of stuff?
Well, personally, I think, you know, in football, there's stages, you know, and when you look at even normal club football, um, you know, international football, there's periods, you know, and we're in a period of transition, you know, and when you're in a period of transition, things can go well, things can go not so well, you know, and we're in a period of transition, I think, since 2020. And obviously the manager came in, Otto, and had different ideas. And so it takes time. It takes time, and it takes time, of course. A lot of changes like, in terms of personnel players, a lot of changes, you know, at some point we were like having maybe 10, 11, 12 new players at different stages of the different call-ups. So, you know, it demands time, it demands, you know, um, patience, you know, patience. But for me, I just think that it's just a time where like we're struggling a bit, but we have the quality, we have the players to turn it around, you know, and you know, we don't have the team of 2006 to 2000, let's say 19. We don't, because even from 2006, 2010, you know, the transition was smooth because you had the under 20s who just came in and like he made it, and you had couple, and there was a call, you know, but this transition was a bit radical, let me say. But at the end of the day, you know, it's football, and I feel like the coach and the GFA have plans, you know, on a long term, and they made the decision, and you know, we respect it, and you know, we need to adapt and work towards it. So you know, for me personally, there's no big problem. Of course, we're a country where we demand, we want to win every time, but we need to understand that sometimes, you know, there's a period of transition, and when you have a lot of new players, and especially young players who are not experienced, who don't have much caps, it's not easy because international football and club football is totally different, you know, and, you know, we have a lot of players who are from, like, let me say someone like, I'll use an example like Inaki, Antoine, Tariq, you know, they're Ghanaians, but they grew up in Europe. So for those type of players, they need time to adapt and to gel, you know, the culture and everything. So there's a lot of things, but they're getting better, they're adapting, they're getting better. And, you know, all those things have to come together. And when it comes together, then we'll just get back to where we were before.
Great, great, great. The head coach Otto Addo, he's received a lot of criticism. Even recently, the newly appointed sports minister even gave his reservations about him. From where you sit, representing the playing body, do you think that criticism is fair?
Well, that is, for me, for me personally, my view is that, like I said, we're in a period of transition. So it can be positive or it can be a bit negative. When the results are not there, of course, the manager and the players, you get the backlash or the criticism and all those things. But we're professional football, we're professional players, and you need to have the mentality and the strength to stand up for the challenge. There's pressure. Playing for Ghana, there's huge pressure. If I say there's no pressure, I'm lying. There's huge pressure, massive pressure. But we're professional footballers, so you need to stand up to the challenge. You need to be ready, and obviously the boys are ready. And I personally believe that obviously you don't always have to blame someone, and that is the nature of the game. But we believe in the management team that we have. We believe in in the JFA and everything. So we buy to everything they want to do, and you can't stop people from criticism and all those things. You can't stop it. It's part of the game. So what we just have to do is to turn things around, and that's what we're working on, to turn things around, and hopefully from these two games, we can show a good image of ourselves and turn things around.
Yeah. Let's talk about the playing body now. You spoke about, you can't stop what people say, but one thing that is at the top of the list of basically the vocal cry from a lot of people outside is the relationship in camp. How is it like between the players? There's been a lot of talk about friction. You guys don't get along. How true or not?
Obviously, we're not best friends. You can't be best friends. Everyone has his ways. Everyone has his people that is more closer to, or more, but there's no problem. There's no friction. It's just, we know what we have to do. We are together. For me, we are like brothers, but it doesn't mean that it's like, in a family, you feel you're closer maybe to your sister more than your brother, but it doesn't mean that you don't love them, or you don't. Do you understand? It's similar, So no, we're all good friends. The boys, they listen, they respect, Of course, sometimes in a family, there's one or two misunderstanding, but it's part of life. It's part of the game,
Yeah.
But it doesn't disrupt the whole setup, And, when for me personally, I haven't seen any problem since I'm here, Yes, it's a different generation, it's a different mindset, it's a new, squad coming up. But when I was here before, when there was the likes of Samoa, Wakasu, Dede and things, yeah, some people could argue, they could argue on the pitch, but when training is finished, we finish press, they're laughing.
Yeah.
It's just it's just a mentality that was instilled at that time, And now it's a bit different, but there's no problem,
Yeah.
There's no problem. Like I said, there's young boys. I'm 33. You have boys who are 19, 20. Of course, I'm not good friends with them. It's normal. You understand? But I don't see them as my little brothers and things. I don't care about age. The moment we're together, we're all together. So I speak to them normally, when I have to speak to them. Today, the little Bonsuba came into my room. We had a conversation. He just came by his own self. He came to my room, asked me some advice, and I gave him the advice. I'm free. I'm open to anyone that wants to come and have a conversation with me. And if I feel like I have to speak to someone because maybe someone is going through a difficult spell, or is doing well, I'm the first person to congratulate. So I have no problem in that sense. No, not at all.
And another thing that seems to be of a worry when we watch you guys at the club level, Leicester may not be doing well, but you're still part of the top scorers for Leicester. Semenyo is doing brilliantly at Bournemouth. Nyaki is bagging at 6 goals for Bilbao. We saw Kudus when he came to the Premier League last season. Even Fatal was brilliant with Leicester this season. Unfortunately, the injury, but before that, he was doing brilliantly. It's like when you come to the national team, then there's like a freeze. You guys are not able to translate that form. You mentioned earlier that club football and national team football. Give us the sense. How difficult is it to transition?
It's different because, first of all, you have the weather, you have the pitch, and the chemistry. Did you understand? So when I mean by chemistry is, for instance, maybe Chad. I heard they have 10 players from one team in their squad or something like that. You know, they've been playing for 1 year, so they have the natural understanding. But I've never played with Semenyo in club football. I've never played with Inaki, only in the national team. And before a game, you have maybe 2 days or 3 days to train. Yeah, so it will take time. It will take time. That's what I mean, it will take time. You know, for me, that is the main thing. But it doesn't mean that they're not quality players or they can't perform in Africa. Of course. But it's just that the pitch, the understanding between me and Inaki or me and Semenyo is not quite there. Is it moving like this? I'm not sure. But in the club football, you know that your partner is moving there. You don't need to look. You just hit the ball there. Do you understand the understanding? We'll get better. We'll get better. You know, it will get better because obviously at the beginning, personally, it was a bit kind of difficult because there was a lot of, every time there's new set of players in the squad, so it's difficult. It's not an excuse because you still have to find a way and perform. Because sometimes when I come for holidays, I play with my friends and things. I've never played them the whole year, but we still enjoy ourselves. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So we still have to find that thing. But the other thing is that the pressure as well, you know, they need the young players, they need to get used to the pressure. And for me, when I started the national team, it wasn't easy for me. The pressure and all that, it wasn't easy for me. So it need time. But I was lucky because you had Asama who was flying, you had Dede who was flying, you had players who were flying. So, you know, they protected me and they guided me well. And that's why today I am where I am as well, because they protected me and they guided me well. Asamoah, Dede, you know, Sule Muntari, even Michael Essien, I played a little bit with them. You know, when you have those players, they just guide you and all the pressure goes into them. So you don't have pressure. Do you understand what I mean? And they've done, for me, you know, I'll always be grateful and respectful to my seniors, you know. And obviously now it's not easy because maybe there's only me and Thomas.
Yeah.
You know, and the rest are like, you know, kind of young. Okay, Kudus, because Kudus have been in the national team for maybe 5 years now, you know, so it's kind of, you know. So it's, you know, the rest. But honestly, I'm confident and I'm positive. I think it's just a period of transition. So let's say, look at Man City this year.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? They've won for maybe 3-4 years and now they're a bit in a difficult period because some players, maybe they don't have the not motivation, but it's kind of the end of an era. So now you need to rebuild. And that's why Man City have paid so much money in January, tries Walker left and, you know, trying to refreshing the thing. And this is what is happening. You know, it's just that the results are not following. But if the results were there, no one will have the same approach, you know, or this conversation. But, you know, it's time. It's a period of transition. You need to be a bit patient and support us and be positive. We know it can be frustrating at times. We know it. Yeah. We know it can be frustrating because I know how passionate Ghanaians are. But I'm pleading with them, you know, they need to be a bit patient and support the boys because without them, we can't perform, you know. So for me, I just think it's just a matter of time and patience, but we'll come good.
John, the people say you don't smile. The people say you don't smile. So I have some questions that will let people understand who you are because you don't smile. When they see your head is down, you go about your business, you're not smiling. But so I have some quick questions for us to know who exactly Jordan Ayew is. So what's your favorite moment in the national team?
Wow. I've had a couple of moments though. Well, honestly, I've had a couple of good moments in the national team. I think, honestly, it's hard. It's hard to have good moments in the national
Okay, give me three.
team. I'll go for 2015 African Cup.
Okay.
And in Gabon, when we lost against Ivory Coast in the finals,
Yeah.
the penalties. Then obviously, what was it? The 2019 African Cup. We were unlucky. We got kicked out in the penalty at Tunisia. Then when I scored, just recently when I scored the hat-trick, Central Africa.
I'm screaming in this.
Yeah. Those are the kind of, but I've had like other ones I can say, a hat-trick against South Korea in 2014. So
quite a number.
No, there's quite few, it's been, people will not see it like that because obviously I've been criticized and all those things for years and maybe even till today. But at the end of the day, I'm still here.
So
I hear.
Are you like social media savvy?
No, I'm not into social media that much. But I have family, I have friends.
So they tell you that today this was someone was.
They speak, they say, and I take it in good faith. Because at the end of the day, it don't change nothing really it doesn't change much for me.
Yeah.
The only thing it changes is it will change maybe my mood.
Yeah.
But that was when maybe I was younger, when I was maybe 22, 23.
Yeah.
But now, at my age, I can only thank God and enjoy and move on,
Let's talk about your club career. Give me like top 3 favorite moments in your club.
Honestly, it's the day one, obviously I scored against West Ham Boxing Day.
The 360 and
chip, yeah. That one. I'm gonna call. I'll just call Palace. Because at Palace, I really enjoyed myself there.
Yeah.
And I really, really, that's the place that I felt really at home. And I felt like I was never going to leave there.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? But, everything has an end, But I think at Palace, I had great moments. I scored big goals for them. I didn't score many goals, but I was just lucky I managed to score important goals for them, And another moment when I was in France, when I was in Lorient, played against Marseille. I played against Marseille and I think I played twice against them. I scored 3 goals, So that was a big moment, emotional big moment. Honestly, when I think about those things, I've gone a long way,
Yeah,
I've gone a long way.
You've done so. Your favorite Black Stars goal. You are in the top 5 top scorers when it comes to Ghana. You scored 29 goals for the country. Of the 29.
29, I didn't even know,
Yeah, I'm telling you, 29. You scored 9 last year in 2024. That one you
got a good. 2024 was good for me.
Very, very good. Very good for you. Your favorite Black Stars?
Sheesh. I don't know because I scored lovely goals, I think I'll go, I don't know, against Comoros at Kumasi. Play against Comoros at Kumasi, so the ball, I don't even know how I managed to control the ball and take a touch in the 18 and manage to bend it. I think that was my favorite. I need to think, because there's stuff. Again, I think that was
Let me tell you my favorite Jordan and you go for the Black Stars in terms of both of them. In fact, there are 2. Both of them was AFCON 2019 against Benin, the top corner.
Yeah, that one.
And then the third group game, I think it was Equatorial Guinea.
Oh yeah, when I did the
On the
step
left,
over,
yeah.
oh yeah, that
Finished
one
it.
as well.
So
Yeah.
two really good goals for me. But your toughest player, the toughest player I've ever faced.
Toughest player I've ever faced. For international or
Across.
for I think Thiago Silva,
Thiago Silva.
Yeah.
That was Palace.
Yeah, when I was
Chelsea.
at Paris and Chelsea.
Yeah.
So smart, so difficult to play against. Like he really, really like he thinks ahead. He anticipates so well. He's never close to you. He gives you always a yard, and he's sharp. And nah, it was difficult. People, to be fair, people say Van Dijk, but I feel against Van Dijk some few times, and of course don't get me wrong, he's a big defender and everything, but I just feel like Thiago Silva has an edge.
Yeah.
Thiago Silva has an edge. So for me, that's Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva. Okay. The best player you played with in the Black Stars?
Oof.
Minus Dede, I'll make this one easy for you. Put Dede aside. So aside your brother, your best player,
It's Ghana, we've had so many players, man. Best player?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because there's few, that are really like, they've really like, they really caught my eye, One is no more here with us. May his soul rest in peace. Yeah, him. Funny enough, I love playing with Asamoah.
You assisted him quite enough.
Yeah, but I love playing with him because he made things so easy, for me, and gives me so much time, like space, because he was attracting the defenders.
Yeah.
And he could combine as well. He was good technically. He was a very good finisher. Obviously, then you had Wakaso as well in midfield. You had Montari as well. I didn't play long with him, but the few times I played with him, like for a striker, it's a dream.
Yeah.
Like I say Montari and Wakaso, but Wakaso was a bit similar to Montari, like the diagonal balls, the balls in behind, This
Stuff.
It's tough. But to be honest, like I'll go for Achu, because he deserves it. He deserves a lot of credit and plaudits for what he has done in his career, and like for what he has done for the national team. Don't get me wrong, you have Asamoah, you have Dede. Honestly, playing in that generation, that group of people was just unbelievable. It was like, it was top. But I'll give it to Christian, because obviously he deserved credit, and people don't talk much about him, but he was a really, really top player. Maybe in Europe, he wasn't performing how people expected to perform, but like I said, in the national team, when he came to the national team, it was a different breed, and I really enjoyed playing with him. To be fair, him, Asamoah, Dede, and he had Wakaso and Aqua in midfield. You had Jonathan Mensah, John Boy behind. You had Harrison Affo. Harrison Affo was a top player as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that generation, that group of players, 2015. Honestly, like it was so enjoyable to play with them.
You clearly enjoyed it.
No, it was really enjoyable to play with them.
Yeah. This one's also a tough one. The best manager you've worked under?
Best manager, Roy Hodgson.
Straight.
Yeah, Roy Hodgson.
That was a straight answer. Okay.
Because I'll tell you why. Because he just understood me. He understood me. He knew what I needed at any time. He was like a father figure to me. He was like a grandfather. Not only football, even about life, advice. It was, he gave me a really, really good view of who I am as a player. And and what I could do and where my strength was and everything. So I always go for Roy Hodgson because he's a loyal manager.
Yeah.
Loyal manager. And that loyalty, you don't have it a lot in football. So, yeah. But for me, Roy Hodgson, hands down.
Hands down. Thank you. Your one player you didn't play with, but you wish you played with. And this one to your dad is not partner.
Played with my dad, though, but at that time, it was on retirement. He was still good. Very good. One, I don't know, because I always sit down and I'm like playing as a striker with, Stephen Appiah, Larry Kingston, just to see how it was,
Yeah.
because I admire them as footballers, and I wish I could have just played with them, because how they feel with ACN and Muntari in the game, ACN in training a bit, and already I was like, wow. So, but just Steven and yeah.
Wow. That's a very good choice. Now, your favorite player growing up?
My favorite player growing up, it was Ronaldinho. It was Ronaldinho. Then Cristiano Ronaldo came as well. Then, of course, those were the two that I was really, because when I really started playing football, like when I started towards when I was like started playing leagues in Ghana, I was like 9, 10.
Okay.
Then that's when Cristiano and Ronaldinho was in Barcelona. Cristiano was coming up in Man U, so those were my two players, but of course then when I went to Marseille, then I started playing as a number 9, then started looking up to Drogba, started looking up to Eto'o.
Okay.
And there's quite a few. Adebayo as well. There's quite a few, but I don't have one that I'm like, that there's so many, so I can't choose. So I just put all two.
Okay. Who's the funniest guy in camp in the Black Stars?
Now?
Yeah.
The problem is that there's no one who's like, like before there was always one who was really, or two who were really funny. Now everyone is quite joyful, It's a different, I cannot pick one, but there's few who are interesting.
I think me at least like 2 names. I'm doing an experiment because somebody's name has been mentioned a couple of times. I won't see you.
I don't know. You mean this camp or like?
No, like, let me say like the past 2-3 years.
In the past 2-3 years. Gideon.
Gideon Mensah.
Yeah.
Always be Mensah.
Yeah, he's a funny one. Then there's other ones. There's other ones who are not bad, but yeah.
Who's the most quiet person in camp? Somebody said it was you.
Possibly, yeah. Possibly.
Possibly. Apart from you, because quiet people do a lot of observation. Yeah. So, apart from you, who doesn't talk much with them?
Kudus don't speak much. Then maybe some you guys when they come, they're a bit like shy and everything. But no, I think I'm possibly the most quiet one when they come.
Who's your best friend in football?
My best friend in football. Because people think I don't have friends.
Exactly.
People think I don't have friends.
Very quiet. It's like you're always alone. You're working by yourself, but you have, of course, you've played for a long time.
No. My best friend in football actually is my roommate when I was in the academy. And obviously we're still friends till today, very good friends. And he is like my best friend in football, where we went to school together, we slept in the same room, we ate in the same plate, we rushed our clothes together. We like literally did everything together till maybe when then I went to the first team together, but he didn't have his chance. Then after I went on loan and went a bit left and right, then ended up in China now today. He's been in China for maybe 5 years now.
What's his name?
Alexander Ndumbu. So he's like half Chinese, half Gabonese.
Okay.
So he's my very good friend, very, very good friend. Like, he's not even my friend, he's my brother.
Wow. You listen to a lot of music, obviously. You're quiet, your headphones, and yeah. What do you listen? Who's like your who's that artist that can't miss a Jordan Are You playlist? Like when you are putting together your playlist, that one artist.
Yeah, because like because I was in France, so I listen to a lot of French rap.
Okay.
And sometimes US rap as well, Afrobeat sometimes. So it depends on my mood and the day, and I'm a bit flexible.
Okay,
but obviously,
yeah.
My French rapper is Nino.
Okay.
US rapper is Future, and you want to hear for me the Ghanaian one I always go for Shatta, because he's the one I've always liked when he started. Obviously, Stonebwoy is doing quite well as well.
Yeah.
So now I'm a bit flexible, I don't have a main genre.
Wow. Let's quickly wrap up here, but I want to ask you this question in terms of style. Okay. How would you describe yourself as a footballer, and what is your favorite position?
I don't think my style is a bit. I don't think it's common. That is something because me personally, I feel like I can do quite a lot of things, and maybe that's what is maybe against me a bit. I don't know. It's just because I'm someone who I adapt myself very quickly.
Yeah.
And I learn very fast as well. So in terms of football style, because I can play 9, I can play behind the striker, even maybe at Palace, because tactically, apparently, my awareness and I'm so good tactically. Sometimes I played in midfield, some games. So I can't even describe myself, funny enough. I don't even know. Before, when I was young, I would say, I want to be like Ronaldinho, I want to be like Cristiano Ronaldo, or I want to be like R9.
Yeah.
But now I can't even describe myself, because sometimes when I play, I can be ordinary. When I play, I can be very skillful. When I play, so I can't even describe myself.
You do. Interesting.
Well, if you just joined us, we're still in conversation with Yaw Ampofo Ankrah, the Director General of the National Sports Authority. We're looking at various aspects of his life, including his new endeavor, the new challenge, and what his vision is for the National Sports Authority. We've also been talking about issues of the Black Stars, who are the flagship brand for our football. We'll also look at a few other sporting disciplines as well.
We're going to look at other sporting disciplines. How many hours?
A few more minutes.
You're not tired?
I'm tired. We'll wrap up soon. Look, Yaw, there is also this bit about, other disciplines, potential, and what we all need to draw in terms of what we're picking from them, realizing what they have to offer and all of that. Now, there's always the conversation about boxing.